Marcus Chen dumped another bucket of leftover food into the waste processor. The machine hummed as it ground everything into biopaste. He wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. Working in the mess hall of Kepler 442 mining colony was not exciting, but it was honest work. The colony sat on a large asteroid at the edge of human space. 200 miners and their families called this rock home. Marcus had been cooking for them for 3 years now. Before that, he served in the military as a field cook. He had seen battles and violence. Now he preferred the quiet life of making meals and cleaning up. He carried the last food scraps toward the recycler room. The lights flickered in the hallway. The colony always needed repairs. Everything out here was old and worn down, but people made it work. Marcus opened the door to the recycler room and stopped. He heard something. A small voice. No, 3 small voices, please, human. We can eat your leftovers. Marcus froze. His military training kicked in. Someone was in the room. He set down the bucket slowly and looked around. Behind the large recycler machine, he saw movement. Who is there? Marcus called out. Show yourself. 3 small creatures stepped into the light. Marcus had never seen anything like them. They looked like tiny dragons from old Earth stories. They had scales that shined with many colors. Their wings were thin like paper. Their eyes were large and bright with intelligence. Each one was only 2 feet tall. The creatures looked thin and weak. Their scales were dull in places. They shook slightly as they stood before him. Please do not hurt us, one of them said. The voice appeared directly in Marcus's mind. We are so hungry. We have been eating scraps from your waste for weeks, but there is not enough. Marcus stared at them. Real aliens. Right here in his recycler room. He should call security. That was the rule. But these creatures looked so desperate and scared. You can talk in my head? Marcus asked. Yes, another creature said. We speak through thoughts. It is easier than your mouth sounds. I am Ember. These are my brothers Ash and Cinder. Marcus looked at the bucket of food scraps. Then he looked at the thin little dragons. His soldier instincts told him this could be dangerous, but his heart told him something else. How did you get here? Marcus asked. Our ship crashed nearby, Cinder said. We were fleeing from bad people. Very bad people who wanted to hurt us and our kind. Our mother brought us here to hide. But now Mother sleeps. She used all her strength to keep us alive. Marcus knelt down to their level. The creatures stepped back nervously. I am not going to hurt you, Marcus said softly, but I need to understand. Where is your mother now? In the ship. She is very big. She went into deep sleep to survive. We are too small to help her. We can only wait and hope she wakes up, Ash explained. Marcus made a decision. He picked up the bucket and poured the food onto the clean floor. The 3 little dragons rushed forward and began eating. They made happy chirping sounds. Marcus watched them eat and felt something warm in his chest. These were children. Scared, hungry children far from home. Okay, Marcus said. I will help you. But we need to keep this secret for now. The colony administrator does not like surprises. I will bring you real food. Good food, not just scraps. Ember looked up at him with grateful eyes. Thank you, human Marcus. You are very kind. Most beings would have attacked us or chased us away. Call me Marcus. Just Marcus, he said with a small smile. And you 3 should stay hidden here. I will come back tonight with proper meals. That night, Marcus returned with containers of hot food, rice, vegetables, and proteins. The little dragons ate with joy. As they ate, they told him more about themselves. They were from a species called the Draconidae. They were very old and very wise. Their people had traveled the stars for thousands of years, but now they were running from an enemy empire called the Kreshtar. These enemies had conquered the Draconidae homeworld. Many of their people were dead or enslaved. The mother dragon had escaped with her 3 children and flew through space until she could fly no more. Mother said she sensed kind energy here, Ember said. She said young species called humans lived on this rock. She hoped humans might help us. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility. These creatures trusted him. Their mother trusted humans. He could not let them down. Over the next week, Marcus sneaked food to the 3 little dragons every day. They grew stronger and their scales became brighter. They learned to trust him completely. Sometimes they played games with him. Sometimes they told him stories of their travels through the galaxy. But Marcus noticed something worrying. The food supplies in the mess hall were running lower than usual. The colony administrator, a strict woman named Director Volkov, started asking questions. Chen, the food consumption has increased by 15% this month, Volkov said during a meeting. Explain this. Marcus had prepared an excuse. Some of the miners have been working double shifts. They eat more when they work harder. Volkov did not look convinced, but she nodded. Keep better records, Chen. We cannot waste resources out here. That night, Marcus sat with the three little dragons. He knew he could not keep this secret forever. He needed help. But who could he trust? Marcus looks worried, Cinder said, tilting his small head. I am worried, Marcus admitted. I want to help you properly. I want to wake your mother, but I cannot do it alone. I need to tell someone else, someone I trust. The three dragons looked at each other. Then Ember spoke. We trust your judgment, Marcus. You have shown us nothing but kindness. If you think another human can help, then we will meet them. Marcus thought of Dr. Sarah Okonkwo. She was the colony's xenobiologist and his good friend. She studied alien life and alien technology. She was also kind and open-minded. If anyone would help, it would be Sarah. The next morning, Marcus asked Sarah to meet him in private. They went to his quarters where they could talk safely. Sarah, I need to show you something incredible, but you must promise to keep it secret until we have a plan, Marcus said. Sarah raised an eyebrow. You are making me nervous, Marcus. But yes, I promise. Marcus led her to the recycler room. The three little dragons stepped out from their hiding place. Sarah gasped and stumbled backward. Holy stars, she whispered. Marcus, are those real? Hello, Dr. Sarah, Ember said in her mind. We are very real, and we need your help. Sarah looked at Marcus with wide eyes. They can talk telepathically? Yes, and they have a mother who is in deep sleep. A very big mother. Sarah, we need to help them. Will you help? Sarah stared at the three little dragons. Then a huge smile spread across her face. Help them? Marcus, this is the greatest discovery in human history. Of course I will help! But first I need to see their ship. I need to see their mother. This is amazing. Marcus felt relief wash over him. He was not alone anymore. Together they would find a way to help these small creatures and wake their sleeping mother. He just hoped they were making the right choice. That night, Marcus and Sarah prepared for the journey to the crash site. They borrowed an old rover from the vehicle bay and told the night guard they needed to check some mining equipment. The guard waved them through without much interest. The three little dragons rode in the back of the rover, hidden under a tarp. They gave Marcus directions through their telepathic link. Go left at the big crater, Ember said in his mind. Then straight for 2 miles. You will see the rocks that look like fingers pointing up. The asteroid surface was dark and empty. Stars filled the sky above them. Marcus drove carefully, following the directions. Sarah sat in the passenger seat with her scientific equipment, practically bouncing with excitement. I cannot believe this is real, Sarah said for the 10th time. Living, breathing, telepathic aliens. And they have been here for weeks. How did nobody else find them? We were very careful, Ash replied. And humans do not explore much beyond their colony. They stay inside where it is warm. After 20 minutes of driving, they arrived at the crash site. Marcus stopped the rover and stared. A massive ship sat half buried in the asteroid rock. It did not look like any human ship. The hull seemed to be made of crystal and organic material mixed together. It glowed faintly with inner light. Beautiful patterns covered its surface like scales. That is our home, Cinder said quietly. Mother grew this ship over many years. It is part of her. Sarah jumped out of the rover and ran toward the ship. Marcus followed more carefully, keeping the 3 dragons close. The ship was enormous, at least 200 feet long. An opening in the side led inside. Is it safe to go in? Marcus asked. Yes, Mother's ship will not hurt friends. Follow us, Ember said. They entered the ship. Inside, everything glowed with soft blue light. The walls were smooth and warm to the touch. It felt alive, like walking inside a living creature. Sarah touched everything with wonder, taking readings with her equipment. The dragons led them deeper into the ship. They passed rooms with strange furniture and equipment. They saw images on the walls showing beautiful planets and cities. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the heart of the ship. Marcus stepped inside and his breath caught in his throat. A dragon lay in the center of the chamber, but this was not a small creature like the babies. This dragon was absolutely enormous. She was nearly 50 meters long from nose to tail. Her scales shimmered like starlight, displaying every color of the rainbow. Her wings folded against her body, could probably span the length of a football field. She was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Marcus had ever seen. "That is our mother," Ember said softly. "Matriarch Cerinthia. She is 3,000 years old." Sarah approached slowly with her scanner. "She is alive. Her bio readings are stable but very low. She is in some kind of hibernation state." "This is incredible." Marcus walked closer to the sleeping dragon. He could see her chest rising and falling very slowly. Power and age radiated from her even in sleep. "What does she need to wake up?" Marcus asked. "Energy," Cinder said. "Mother needs massive amounts of bioenergy. She used everything she had to keep us alive during the escape. Now she sleeps to preserve what little life force remains. Without energy, she will sleep forever." Sarah studied her scanner readings. "Bioenergy? What kind exactly?" "Organic matter," Ash explained. "We Draconi can convert any organic material into pure energy. Plants, food, waste. Everything living or once living. That is why we could eat your leftovers. We can digest anything." Marcus suddenly understood. The colony produces tons of organic waste every day. Food scraps, plant matter, biological waste. We turn it all into biopaste for recycling. What if we brought that here instead? The three little dragons looked at each other with hope in their eyes. "Would that work?" Sarah asked them. "Yes," Ember said excitedly. "If you can bring enough, Mother can slowly absorb it. It would take time, but she could heal. She could wake up." Sarah looked at Marcus. "But how do we do this without anyone noticing? We cannot just redirect the entire colony's waste system without authorization." Marcus thought hard. "I can adjust the recycler output gradually. Make it look like the system is less efficient. I can collect the extra waste and say I am composting it for the gardens. That gives us maybe 30% of the total waste without raising suspicion. And I can help transport it," Sarah added. "I make trips outside the colony all the time for my research. Nobody questions me. We can do this," Marcus said firmly, "but it has to stay secret. If Director Volkov finds out, she will panic. She will call in the military. Everything will go wrong." Sarah nodded. "Agreed. This stays between us until we figure out the best way to reveal it." They spent another hour examining the ship and learning more about the Draconi. Sarah accessed part of the ship's data core with the dragon's help. What she discovered amazed her even more. The Draconi were one of the oldest spacefaring species in the galaxy. They had existed for over 100,000 years. They once protected younger species from extinction-level threats. They were peacekeepers and guardians. But 20 years ago, the Kreshtar Empire appeared. The Kreshtar were insectoid beings, half organic and half machine. They consumed everything in their path. They conquered the Draconi homeworld in a brutal war. Now the Draconi were scattered and hunted across the galaxy. Mother said humans were on her watch list, Ember explained. She said your species had dangerous potential. You grow fast and fight well. She wanted to observe you. Marcus felt a chill. Dangerous potential? Is that good or bad? Mother was not sure. She said humans could become great allies or terrible enemies. She wanted to understand you better. That is why she came here. This colony was supposed to be a safe place to rest and learn. Sarah looked thoughtful. And instead of attacking them or turning them away, Marcus fed 3 hungry children. What does that tell her about humans? The 3 dragons smiled, showing tiny sharp teeth. It tells her that humans can be very kind, Cinder said. Over the next 3 weeks, Marcus and Sarah worked carefully. Marcus collected organic waste from the colony, claiming it was for experimental composting. Sarah made frequent trips to the crash site, bringing containers of biomatter in her rover. The 3 little dragons showed them how to feed the material into special chambers in the ship. The ship absorbed the organic matter and converted it to pure energy, slowly channeling it into the sleeping mother dragon. Each visit, they could see small improvements. Cerinthia's scales grew brighter. Her breathing became stronger. The ship itself seemed healthier, its glow more vibrant, but keeping the secret became harder. Director Volkov noticed the irregular waste outputs. Security started asking questions about Sarah's frequent trips outside. And strange power readings were detected near the crash site. One night, Marcus received an urgent message from Ember. Come quickly. Mother is stirring. She is beginning to wake. Marcus grabbed Sarah and they rushed to the ship. As they entered the central chamber, they felt the change immediately. The air hummed with power. The walls pulsed with energy, and Cerinthia's massive eye slowly opened. The eye was huge and golden, filled with ancient intelligence. It focused on Marcus and Sarah. The two humans felt the weight of that gaze like physical pressure. A voice entered their minds. Deep, powerful, and impossibly old. So, Sarinthia said, "Humans fed my children. Humans brought me back from the edge of death. This is unexpected. Very unexpected indeed." Marcus found his voice somehow. "Your children were hungry. We had food. It seemed simple enough." The great dragon made a sound like distant thunder. Was she laughing? "Simple," she repeated. "I have lived 3,000 years and met hundreds of species. None would call feeding strangers simple. Most would have attacked or enslaved my children. Yet you fed them leftovers and asked nothing in return." Sarah stepped forward bravely. "They were children in need. What else would we do?" Both of Sarinthia's eyes opened now. She raised her enormous head and looked at them with something like wonder. "Tell me, humans, what do you want in return for this kindness? What is your price?" Marcus and Sarah looked at each other. Then Marcus spoke honestly. "No price. We helped because it was right. But now we have a problem. The colony will discover you soon. We need to figure out what to do before that happens, and we need your help to make sure nobody gets hurt." Sarinthia stared at them for a long moment. Then she lowered her head closer to their level. "I see why Mother told us humans were interesting," she said softly. "Very well, Marcus Chen, Sarah Okonkwo. You have given me life when you could have taken it. I will trust you. But know this. The colony discovering us is the least of our problems." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. Sarinthia's expression turned grave. "The Kreshtar. They have been tracking me. They will come here eventually. When they do, every human in this colony will be in terrible danger, unless we are ready." Marcus felt his blood run cold. They had wanted to help 3 hungry children. Now they were involved in something much bigger and far more dangerous than he ever imagined. Marcus walked up to greet her, the 3 baby dragons following at his heels. "Captain Rodriguez, welcome to Kepler 442. Things have been interesting. Sarinthia needed 2 more weeks to fully recover her strength." During that time, Marcus and Sarah continued bringing organic waste to feed her. The great dragon grew stronger each day. Her scales shone like mirrors. Her wings flexed with power. Her voice in their minds became clearer and warmer. She told them stories of the galaxy. She described worlds they could barely imagine. She explained how the Draconai once protected hundreds of young civilizations from disasters and invasions. They were the galaxy's guardians for thousands of years. But we became too few, Sarinthia explained one night. We do not reproduce quickly. 1 egg every 100 years is common for us. Meanwhile, younger species multiply by millions. We could not be everywhere at once. And when the Kreshtar came, we were not ready. Marcus sat beside her massive head, no longer afraid. "What are the Kreshtar exactly?" "An ancient evil," Sarinthia said darkly. "They are part insect, part machine. They consume entire planets. They turn captured beings into slaves or soldiers. They have no mercy, no compassion. They only hunger for more territory and resources." Sarah checked her tablet with worry. "And they are coming here?" "Eventually. They track Draconai energy signatures. It may take months or years, but they will come. That is why I must warn you. Your colony is in danger because of me." The 3 baby dragons huddled closer to their mother. They had grown bigger and stronger too, now almost 4 feet tall. But they still looked small next to Sarinthia's magnificence. Marcus made a decision. "Then we need to tell the colony. We cannot keep this secret anymore. People deserve to know about the danger, and they deserve to know about you." Sarah nodded agreement. "Marcus is right. But we need to be smart about this. Director Volkov will panic if we just spring this on her. We need support first." But fate had other plans. The next morning, colony security detected the energy readings from Sarinthia's ship. They were too strong to ignore anymore. Director Volkov ordered a security team to investigate the crash site. Marcus got the alert on his comm device during breakfast service. His heart sank. "Sarah, they know. Security is heading to the ship right now." Sarah grabbed her coat. "We have to get there first. We have to explain before they do something stupid." They ran to the vehicle bay and took a fast rover. Racing across the asteroid surface, Marcus contacted Sarinthia through the telepathic link the dragon had given him. "Sarinthia, armed humans are coming to your ship. Please do not hurt them. They are scared, not evil." "I understand, Marcus," the dragon replied calmly. "I will wait." They arrived at the crash site just as the security team approached. 6 armed guards in environment suits surrounded the ship entrance. Their weapons were drawn. Squad leader Rodriguez, a tough veteran, stood at the front. "Chen, Okonkwo, step back," Rodriguez ordered. "We have an unknown structure here. This is now a security matter." Marcus held up his hands. "Rodriguez, wait. I can explain." "This is not a threat." "Then explain fast, Chen. We have orders to secure this site." Before Marcus could speak, the 3 baby dragons walked out of the ship entrance. The security team shouted in alarm and raised their weapons. "Do not shoot," Sarah screamed. "They are children!" "They are harmless." "Please do not be afraid," Ember said, his voice entering every mind present. "We mean no harm. We only wanted food." Marcus helped us. The guards stumbled backward in shock. Rodriguez stared at the small dragons with wide eyes. "They can talk in my head." "Holy stars, they can talk in my head!" Then Cerinthia emerged from the ship. The enormous dragon walked out into the starlight, her scales blazing with rainbow colors. She stood to her full height, her head reaching 50 feet above the ground. Her wings spread wide, blocking out half the sky. She was magnificent and terrifying. Every guard dropped their weapon in pure terror. Rodriguez fell to his knees. Several guards turned to run. "Stop," Marcus shouted. "She will not hurt you. She is not an enemy." Cerinthia lowered her head toward the terrified humans. When she spoke, her voice was gentle despite its power. "Peace, humans. I am Matriarch Cerinthia of the Dracone. Marcus Chen and Sarah Okonkwo saved my life and the lives of my children. I owe them a debt that cannot be measured. I owe your species gratitude." Rodriguez slowly stood up, shaking. "Chen, what have you done?" "I helped someone in need," Marcus said firmly, "and I would do it again." Within an hour, Director Volkov arrived with more security forces. She stared at Cerinthia with a mixture of fear and anger. Behind her, dozens of curious colonists had followed, wanting to see the alien ship. "This is a disaster," Volkov said. "Chen, you have been hiding aliens on this colony for weeks. You have broken every protocol. I should arrest you right now." Marcus stood his ground. "I saved lives, Director. These beings needed help. Would you rather I let 3 children starve to death?" The crowd murmured. People looked at the 3 baby dragons with curiosity now instead of fear. The little dragons looked scared but brave. A small human child, maybe 6 years old, broke free from her mother's grip. She ran toward Ember and held out a candy bar. "Are you hungry? You can have mine." Everyone froze. Ember looked at the candy bar, then gently took it with his small clawed hand. "Thank you, young human. You are very kind," the child giggled. "You are pretty, like in my storybooks." More children started coming forward with food and toys. The adult colonists watched in amazement as their kids showed no fear at all. They simply saw friends who needed help. Cerinthia watched this with deep interest. Her ancient eyes studied the humans carefully. "Director Volkov," the great dragon said, "I understand your fear, but Marcus Chen did what few beings in this galaxy would do. He showed compassion to strangers. That is a rare quality." Volkov looked uncomfortable. "That may be true, but you are still an unknown factor. How do I know you are not a threat to this colony?" "You do not," Cerinthia said honestly. "But I can tell you this. A terrible enemy hunts my people. The Kreshtar Empire will eventually find me here. When they do, they will not care about your colony. They will destroy everyone and everything to get to me." "That is the truth," the crowd gasped. Fear rippled through them. Volkov went pale. "Then why did you come here?" Someone shouted. "You brought danger to us." Cerinthia bowed her head. "You are right. I am sorry. I was desperate and dying. I sensed kind energy here and took a chance. If you wish, I will leave. I will draw the enemy away from you." The 3 baby dragons cried out in distress. "No, mother. You are still weak. You will not survive alone." Sarah stepped forward. "There is another option. We could work together." "Cerinthia knows about the Kreshtar. She can teach us how to defend ourselves. And we can help her recover fully. Together we might survive. Alone we are all doomed," Marcus nodded. "Sarah is right. This is bigger than colony protocols or fear. This is about survival, and maybe about making the first real alien alliance in human history." The colonists talked among themselves. Arguments broke out. Some wanted Cerinthia to leave immediately. Others agreed with Marcus and Sarah. Then an old miner named Chen Wei stepped forward. He was Marcus's uncle and one of the colony's founders. "I say we help them. The dragons are guests who came here in need. We do not turn away guests. And if an enemy is coming, I would rather fight beside a dragon than die alone." More people voiced agreement. The tide was turning. Children sat with the baby dragons, sharing food and asking questions. The little dragons answered patiently, winning hearts with their gentle manners. Director Volkov raised her hands for silence. This is too big for me to decide alone. I am calling the United Earth Navy. They need to know about this. Agreed, Cerinthia said. But know this. I have lived long enough to meet many military leaders. Some are wise. Some are foolish. I hope yours are wise, because time is running out. That night, the colony held an emergency meeting. Sarah presented all her research on the Draconi. Marcus told the story of how he found the baby dragons. Colonists asked thousands of questions. By morning, a decision was made. The colony would shelter the dragons and prepare for the coming threat. They would contact the Navy, but they would not betray their unexpected guests. A message was sent to Earth Navy Command. It would take 2 days for a ship to arrive. Marcus stood with Cerinthia under the stars that night. The great dragon looked at him with gratitude. Your people surprise me, Marcus Chen. I have observed humanity for many years. I saw your wars and violence. I saw your cruelty. But I also see your capacity for kindness. You are a strange species, full of contradictions. Marcus smiled. That is what makes us human. We can be terrible, but we can also choose to be better. I begin to understand why my people put you on the watch list, Cerinthia said. You have dangerous potential indeed. But perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs right now. 2 days later, the Navy frigate UEN Valiant arrived at the colony. Captain Elena Rodriguez, distant relative of squad leader Rodriguez, came prepared for combat. What she found instead was colonists having a community dinner with dragons. Children played games with Ember, Ash, and Cinder. Adults shared food and stories with Cerinthia, who lay comfortably in the colony's main square. Engineers examined her ship with her permission, fascinated by the organic technology. Captain Rodriguez stood in the airlock of... Captain Rodriguez listened to the entire story over dinner. She asked hard questions. She studied Cerinthia carefully. She reviewed Sarah's research data, and slowly her expression changed from suspicion to understanding. Let me understand this correctly, the captain said. You have been feeding dragons your garbage, and in return, they are warning you about an enemy invasion that might happen in the future? Marcus nodded. That is a simple way to put it, but yes. Rodriguez looked at Cerinthia, who rested nearby with her children. And you, matriarch? What exactly do you offer humanity in return for sanctuary? Cerinthia met the captain's gaze calmly. Knowledge, protection, alliance. The Draconi have advanced biotechnology that could help humanity. We understand energy systems far beyond your current science. We know the patterns of the Kreshtar and how they think. Most importantly, we offer friendship in a dangerous galaxy. And what do you want from us? Rodriguez pressed. Organic waste for food. Shelter while I recover fully. And perhaps someday allies in the fight against the Kreshtar. Nothing more. The captain was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. This is completely insane. But I have orders to assess the situation and make recommendations. Honestly, I think we would be fools to turn you away. Marcus felt hope rise in his chest. So you will support the alliance? I will recommend it to Fleet Command. But you should know something. There are people in the government who will be terrified of this. They will want to attack first and ask questions later. We need to convince them that cooperation is better than conflict. Sarah leaned forward. How do we do that? Show them proof, Rodriguez said. Show them what dragons can offer. Show them the danger of the Kreshtar. Make it impossible to refuse. Over the next week, they worked on a presentation for Earth government. Sarah compiled all her xenobiology research. The colony engineers documented the amazing organic technology in Cerinthia's ship. And Cerinthia shared detailed information about the Kreshtar threat. The data was disturbing. The Kreshtar had conquered 47 star systems in 20 years. They enslaved populations and stripped planets of resources. Their military was massive and ruthless, and they were expanding toward human space. With or without me, they will reach your territory within 10 years, Cerinthia explained. They see young species as resources to exploit. Humans would be valuable to them because you breed quickly and adapt well. Marcus felt sick. So they would enslave us? Yes, or exterminate you if you resist too much. The Kreshtar do not value life. They only value utility. Captain Rodriguez transmitted all this information to Fleet Command with her strongest recommendation for alliance. Then they waited for a response. During the waiting period, something beautiful happened. The colonists fully accepted the dragons into their community. Children played with ember, ash, and cinder every day. The baby dragons learned human games and taught the children Draconai songs. Adults shared meals with Cerinthia and learned from her vast knowledge. Engineers worked with the Draconai ship systems, learning incredible new principles of organic engineering. Doctors studied Draconai biology and discovered they could heal almost any injury by metabolizing organic matter. The dragons shared freely, asking nothing in return except companionship and food. Marcus watched all this with pride. His simple act of kindness had grown into something amazing. But then the alarm sirens wailed. 3 ships appeared on the colony's sensors. They were not human ships. The designs were completely alien, all sharp angles and dark metal. They broadcast no greeting. They simply approached at high speed. Cerinthia's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide with fear. Kreshtar. They found me faster than I expected. Everyone must evacuate immediately. Captain Rodriguez ran to her ship. All crew battle stations. Get the civilians to the shelters! Chaos erupted in the colony. Parents grabbed children and ran for the emergency bunkers. The 3 baby dragons huddled close to their mother, terrified. Marcus and Sarah helped organize the evacuation. The Kreshtar ship stopped just outside weapons range. A communication came through on all frequencies. The voice was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect English. Humans of this colony, we detected Draconai war criminal on your asteroid. Surrender the creature called Cerinthia and we will leave you in peace. Refuse and we will take her by force and destroy your colony as accomplices to her crimes. Director Volkov looked at Marcus with panic in her eyes. What do we do? Marcus looked at Cerinthia. The great dragon stood tall despite her fear. Her children clung to her legs. She had protected them across the galaxy. She had trusted humans with their lives, and humans had welcomed them with open arms. Marcus made his choice. We do not hand over our friends, Marcus said firmly. Tell them no. Volkov stared at him. Marcus, they will kill us all.
Then we die fighting for what is right, Marcus replied.
Cerinthia and her children asked us for leftovers. We gave them sanctuary. We do not betray people who trust us. That is not who we are. Other colonists heard this exchange. One by one, they voiced agreement. Marcus is right, someone shouted. We do not abandon friends. Even Volkov felt her resolve strengthen. She activated the colony-wide communication. This is Director Volkov. The Kreshtar demand we surrender our guests. I say we refuse. Does anyone disagree? Silence. Then a roar of approval from every colonist. Volkov transmitted the response to the Kreshtar. This is Colony Kepler 442. Your demand is denied. The Draconai are under our protection. Leave now or face consequences. The Kreshtar commander sounded almost amused. Consequences? You have 1 small military ship and a mining colony. We have 3 warships. This is not a fight. This is extermination. But we admire your foolish courage. You will make excellent slaves after we crush your resistance. The Kreshtar ships advanced, their weapons charged with visible energy. Captain Rodriguez prepared for battle, but her single frigate stood no chance against 3 warships. Then Marcus had an idea. A desperate, crazy idea. The mining reactor, he shouted. We can overload it to create a massive EMP burst. It will disable their ships. An engineer shook his head. That will also disable all our systems. We will be defenseless. Marcus looked at Cerinthia. Unless someone can protect us during the blackout. Cerinthia, can you create an energy shield? The dragon understood immediately. Yes, but I am still recovering. It will take all my strength. I might not survive. Mother, no. The baby dragons cried. Cerinthia nuzzled her children gently. You are safe here with these humans. They will care for you. But I must protect them now as they protected you. It is the right thing to do. Captain Rodriguez made the call. Do it, overload the reactor. Cerinthia, we are trusting you with our lives. The engineers worked frantically, rewiring the reactor for maximum output. The Kreshtar ships closed in, weapons ready to fire. Cerinthia positioned herself above the colony. Her body glowed with gathered energy. She spread her massive wings wide. Now! Marcus shouted. The reactor exploded with electromagnetic energy. A wave of invisible force burst outward in all directions. Every electronic system on the asteroid died instantly. The lights went out. Computers crashed. Life support failed. The Kreshtar ships went dark. their weapons offline, their engines dead, and Cerinthia roared. A dome of pure energy erupted from her body, covering the entire colony. The shield glowed like a second sun. It held back the vacuum of space. It maintained pressure and temperature. It kept everyone alive. Captain Rodriguez gave urgent orders. EVA teams move now. Board those ships while they are disabled. We take the fight to them. Dozens of colonists and Navy crew grabbed weapons and EVA suits. They launched themselves across space toward the helpless Kreshtar ships. The baby dragons breathed fire to propel themselves alongside the humans, their superheated plasma breath proving surprisingly useful in zero gravity. Marcus joined the boarding parties. He had been a soldier once. He remembered how to fight. They breached the Kreshtar ships and found the enemy crew struggling to restore power. Hand-to-hand combat erupted. The Kreshtar were strong and vicious, but humans fought with desperate courage. And the three young dragons proved surprisingly fierce despite their size. After 30 minutes of brutal fighting, they captured all three ships. The Kreshtar commander was dragged before Captain Rodriguez in chains, the insectoid being looked at the humans with its many eyes. Impossible. You primitives should not have won. Rodriguez smiled coldly. You made a mistake. You threatened our friends. Humans do not react well to that. Back at the colony, Cerinthia finally lowered her shield. She collapsed to the ground, completely exhausted. Marcus and Sarah rushed to her side. Mother! The baby dragons cried, climbing onto her head. Cerinthia opened one eye weakly. Did we win? Marcus laughed with relief. Yes, thanks to you. You saved us all. The great dragon smiled. Good, I told you humans had dangerous potential. But now I know something else. You also have the potential for greatness. I am honored to call you friends. The colony erupted in celebration. They had faced impossible odds and won. Humans and dragons had fought side by side as true allies. But the captured Kreshtar commander had one final warning. You have only delayed the inevitable. This was a scout force. The swarm is coming. And when it arrives, you will all die together, humans and dragons alike. Captain Rodriguez looked at Marcus, then at Cerinthia, then at the celebrating colonists. Then we had Part 5 news of the battle spread across human space like wildfire. A mining colony and a single Navy frigate had defeated 3 Kreshtar warships with the help of dragons. The footage went viral. Images of humans and dragons fighting side by side captured the imagination of billions. The reaction was divided. Some people celebrated the new alliance. Others feared it. Politicians argued endlessly about the implications. Religious leaders debated the meaning of first contact. Military strategists studied the battle tactics, but everyone agreed on one thing. The Kreshtar were real and they were dangerous. The United Earth Council called an emergency session. They summoned Captain Rodriguez, Marcus, Sarah, and even Director Volkov to testify. Cerinthia offered to come as well, but the council decided that might be too dramatic for their first official meeting. Instead, she sent a recorded message. Marcus stood in the council chambers on Earth, watching the hologram of Cerinthia address the most powerful humans in the galaxy. Honored leaders of humanity. Cerinthia's voice echoed through the chamber. I am Matriarch Cerinthia of the Dracanae. I come before you not as a conqueror, but as a refugee seeking alliance. My people once numbered in the millions. Now we are scattered and few. The Kreshtar destroyed our civilization because we tried to protect others. We failed, but we learned valuable lessons. The hologram showed images of the Kreshtar invasion. Council members gasped at the destruction. The Kreshtar swarm is coming toward your space, not today or tomorrow, but within 10 years. They will not negotiate. They will not show mercy. They will enslave or exterminate you. This is not a threat. This is a warning from someone who has already lost everything to them. Cerinthia's image looked directly at the camera. But you have something my people lost. You have rapid adaptability. You have courage without wisdom, which is dangerous but also powerful. And you have the capacity for surprising kindness. A human named Marcus Chen fed my starving children when he had no reason to help. That single act of compassion may have saved both our species. I propose a true alliance. Not master and servant, not conqueror and conquered, but equals working together for survival. The Dracanae offer our knowledge, our technology, and our strength. We ask only for shelter, food, and friendship. Together, we might resist what neither of us could survive alone. The hologram faded. The council chamber was silent. Then the questions began. Marcus spent 6 hours answering questions. How did he meet the dragons? What were they like? Could they be trusted? What did they eat? Were they dangerous? He answered honestly. They are people, different from us, but still people. They love their children. They feel fear and hope. They value honor and kindness. And yes, they can be trusted because they have already proven it by protecting our colony at great risk to themselves. Sarah presented her scientific findings. The Draconite biotechnology was centuries ahead of human science. They could heal injuries that would kill humans. They could metabolize almost any organic matter for energy. Their ships were grown, not built, using principles that could revolutionize human engineering. Captain Rodriguez gave her military assessment. The Kreshtar are a credible threat. Our current defenses would not stop them, but with Draconite knowledge and human industrial capacity, we could build something that might. This alliance is not just beneficial, it is necessary for survival. The council debated for 3 days. The vote was close, but finally they reached a decision. The alliance was approved. Humanity would offer sanctuary to the Draconite. In return, the dragons would share their knowledge and help prepare Earth's defenses. It was the first equal treaty between humans and an alien species. Marcus watched the vote with tears in his eyes. He had started by feeding 3 hungry children. Now he had helped forge an alliance that could save 2 civilizations. But the work was just beginning. Sarinthia sent out a secret signal to other Draconite survivors. Over the next months, more dragons emerged from hiding. Some arrived alone. Others came in small family groups. Each had a story of loss and survival. Each had been hunted by the Kreshtar. The first dragon to arrive after Sarinthia was an old warrior named Cormath. He was cautious and suspicious of humans, but when he saw human children playing with Ember, Ash, and Cinder, his suspicion melted away. Children always know the truth, he said to Marcus. If your young ones trust us, then perhaps we can trust you. More dragons meant more knowledge to share. Human engineers worked with Draconite biotechnology experts. Scientists studied dragon biology. Military officers trained with dragon warriors, learning ancient combat techniques, and humanity shared their own strengths. Mass production, rapid adaptation, aggressive innovation, the ability to build thousands of ships where dragons would build dozens. Colony Kepler 442 was renamed First Contact Station Alpha. It became the center of human-dragon cooperation. Marcus was named official ambassador despite his protests that he was just a cook. You are the person who brought us together, Sarinthia told him. That makes you far more than a cook. You are a bridge between 2 species. The 3 baby dragons grew rapidly. Within a year, they were 12 feet tall and learning to fly properly. They became the first Draconite students at human schools. Children loved them. Teachers were amazed by their intelligence. Ember showed talent for engineering. Ash became fascinated with human art and music. Cinder wanted to be a pilot and flew practice missions with the Navy. But not everything was peaceful. There were incidents. Some humans remained afraid or hateful. A few dragons looked down on humans as primitives. Misunderstandings happened. Cultural differences caused friction. Marcus spent much of his time mediating disputes, teaching humans about dragon customs, explaining human behavior to dragons. It was exhausting work, but he never regretted it. Sarah became the leading expert on cross-species cooperation. She wrote the first guidelines for human-dragon interaction. She helped design mixed habitats where both species could live comfortably, and throughout all this they prepared for war. The captured Kreshtar commander had not lied. Intelligence reports confirmed a massive Kreshtar fleet was advancing through nearby systems. They were conquering or destroying everything in their path. Humanity had maybe 5 years to prepare. Human shipyards worked around the clock building new vessels. But these were not normal ships. They incorporated Draconite biotechnology, organic armor that could heal itself, energy weapons powered by bioreactors, shields that drew power from the crew's life force in emergencies. Dragons taught humans their combat philosophy. Do not fight with honor alone. Fight to win. The Kreshtar have no honor. They will use every dirty trick. You must be willing to match them. Humans taught dragons about mass coordination and combined arms tactics. You fight as individuals or small groups. We fight as armies. Together we can do both. The first joint military academy opened on Mars. Human and dragon cadets trained together. They learned each other's languages. They studied combined tactics. They formed bonds of friendship and loyalty. 3 years passed in preparation. Then 4. On the 5th year, the scouts detected the Kreshtar Armada. It was massive. Over 300 warships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. Thousands of smaller attack craft, troop carriers filled with millions of soldiers. The swarm had come. The Kreshtar sent one message. Surrender the Draconai. Surrender your military. Accept slavery. You have 1 week to comply. The United Earth Council met in emergency session. The vote was unanimous. They sent back 2 words. Come and take them. Marcus stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, a massive vessel built with both human and dragon technology. Beside him stood Cerinthia, now fully recovered and more powerful than ever. Captain Rodriguez commanded the fleet. Sarah coordinated the science teams. And in the fighter squadrons, Ember, Ash, and Cinder flew alongside human pilots. The human dragon fleet assembled near Jupiter. 50 capital ships, 300 cruisers, thousands of fighters, and 60 Draconai elders flying as living warships. It was not enough. The Kreshtar outnumbered them 3 to 1. But Marcus remembered something Cerinthia had told him years ago. Humans have dangerous potential. Rodriguez gave the order. All ships engage at will. Show them what happens when you threaten our friends. The battle began. Human ships fought with coordinated precision. Dragon warriors struck with ancient ferocity. The combined tactics confused the Kreshtar, who had never faced such cooperation before. Ember, Ash, and Cinder led fighter squadrons in daring attacks. They breathed fire to disable enemy weapons. Human fighters followed, exploiting the openings. Cerinthia roared across the battlefield, her energy shields protecting entire formations of human ships. Other elder dragons did the same. Human captains learned to fight in the shelter of dragon power, but the Kreshtar were relentless. They adapted quickly. They focused fire on the dragons, trying to bring them down. Several young dragons fell and humans died protecting them. The battle raged for 3 days. Neither side could gain advantage. Ships burned. People died. The casualty lists grew longer. On the 3rd day, Marcus saw the pattern. The Kreshtar command ship coordinated everything. If it fell, their fleet would lose cohesion. He proposed a desperate plan. A strike force would... Part 6, the victory celebration, lasted for weeks. Every human world and dragon settlement honored the fallen and praised the survivors. Marcus and Cerinthia became symbols of the alliance. Children across human space grew up hearing the story of how a cook fed 3 hungry dragons and changed the fate of 2 civilizations. But Marcus himself remained modest. When reporters asked him about being a hero, he always gave the same answer. I am not a hero. I just did what was right. They were hungry and I had food. Everything else followed from that simple choice. The war had revealed something important. The Kreshtar were not invincible. Their empire began to crumble as the news of their defeat spread. Species they had enslaved rebelled. Worlds they had conquered fought for freedom. The swarm was dying, and in that chaos, something beautiful emerged. A new alliance. Not just between humans and Draconai, but among many species. The Galactic Cooperation League formed with the goal of mutual protection and support. The first meeting was held on First Contact Station Alpha, where it had all begun. Representatives from 12 species gathered. Many were former enemies of each other, but the Human-Dragon Alliance showed them that cooperation was possible. Marcus attended as Earth's ambassador. Sarah came as the chief scientific advisor, and Cerinthia represented the Draconai with her 3 children by her side. The conference opened with a simple ceremony. Each species brought food from their homeworld. They shared it freely with everyone. It was symbolic but powerful. Sharing sustenance, sharing life. It was the foundation of friendship. An ambassador from the Yithral, a fungal species, approached Marcus during the reception. We heard the story of how this alliance began. It is remarkable. Most species would have seen opportunity for exploitation or reason for fear. You saw only beings in need, Marcus shrugged. Is it really remarkable? Would not any decent person do the same? The ambassador made a sound like rustling leaves. It was laughter. You have much to learn about the galaxy, Ambassador Chen. Decency is far rarer than you think. That is what makes your species interesting. You assume kindness is normal. For most civilizations, it is an exception. The peace talks lasted for months. Agreements were drafted. Trade relationships formed. Defense pacts signed. The galaxy was changing. But the work was far from finished. The Kreshtar remnants still posed threats in some regions. Warlords arose from the Empire's collapse. Pirates raided trade routes. And not everyone welcomed the new cooperation. Some species preferred isolation or old hatreds. Marcus found himself traveling constantly, mediating disputes, negotiating treaties, teaching others about the principles that made the Human-Dragon Alliance work. The core principle was simple: respect and mutual benefit. Neither humans nor dragons tried to dominate the other. They shared resources fairly. They made decisions together. They valued each other's strengths. It sounds obvious when you say it like that, a young diplomat told Marcus. But implementing it is difficult. Cultural differences cause so many problems. Marcus smiled. Of course it is difficult. Anything worthwhile is difficult. But that is not a reason to give up. It is a reason to work harder. The human dragon colonies thrived. Joint settlements appeared on dozens of worlds. Children of both species grew up together, learning each other's languages and customs from birth. They became the first truly bilingual, bicultural generation. Ember became a famous engineer, designing ships that blended the best of both technologies. Ash founded an art school where humans and dragons collaborated on new forms of expression. Cinder rose through military ranks to become a squadron commander, leading mixed units with exceptional skill. 5 years after the war ended, Marcus stood once again in the recycler room where he first met the 3 baby dragons. The room was now a museum, preserved exactly as it had been. Tourists came from across human space and dragon settlements to see the place where everything changed. Cerinthia joined him there. She had to fold herself carefully to fit through the doorway, but she managed. "It seems so small now," she said, looking around. This tiny room, this forgotten corner of a mining colony, yet it held the seed of something greater than either of us imagined. Marcus nodded. "When your children asked if they could eat leftovers, I never thought about the consequences. I just saw beings who needed help." "That is exactly why it worked," Cerinthia said. "You did not calculate advantage. You did not weigh costs and benefits. You simply helped because it was the right thing to do. That purity of intent is what my children sensed. That is what made me trust you." They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Marcus asked the question that had been on his mind. "You once said humans had dangerous potential. Do you still think that?" Cerinthia considered carefully. "Yes, but I understand it better now. Your potential is dangerous because you are capable of such extremes. You can be incredibly violent and incredibly compassionate, brilliantly innovative and terribly destructive. You contain multitudes within your species." She looked at Marcus with her ancient eyes. "But that is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength, because it means you can choose. Every human can choose in each moment whether to help or harm, to build or destroy, to hate or love. That capacity for choice is what makes you special." "And what about your people?" Marcus asked. "What is your greatest strength?" "Wisdom born from long memory," Cerinthia replied. "We remember the mistakes of 10,000 years. We understand the patterns that repeat across civilizations. But that is also our weakness. We remember too much. We hesitate because we have seen failure so many times." She smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "That is why we need each other. Your bold action combined with our careful wisdom. Our knowledge combined with your innovation. Together we balance each other's extremes." Sarah arrived at the museum with a group of young students, both human and dragon. The children ran around excitedly, asking questions about every detail. One small human girl approached Marcus shyly. "Mr. Chen, is it true you were just a cook? Not a soldier or diplomat or anything important?" Marcus knelt down to her level. "Yes, I was just a cook, and that is the point of the story. You do not need to be special to make a difference. You just need to care about others and be willing to help." A young dragon about the same age as the girl joined them. "My teacher says that your kindness saved 2 species. That seems very special to me." Marcus laughed. Maybe it was special in its results. But the action itself was simple. I had food. They were hungry, I shared. Any of you could do the same in your own lives. And maybe your simple acts of kindness will also grow into something wonderful. The children thought about this. Then the human girl took the young dragon's hand. "Want to be friends?" The young dragon nodded eagerly. They ran off together to explore the museum. Sarah stood beside Marcus and Cerinthia, watching the children. That is the future right there. A generation that will never know a time when our species were not friends. They will build things we cannot even imagine. Years continued to pass. The alliance grew stronger. More species joined the Galactic Cooperation League. Trade flourished. Culture mixed and evolved. New technologies emerged from combined research, but challenges never stopped. There were always disputes to mediate, crises to resolve, old enemies who refused peace, natural disasters that required cooperation, and through it all the principle remained. Help those in need, share what you have. Choose cooperation over conflict. Simple ideas, but powerful when applied consistently. Marcus eventually retired from active diplomacy. He was getting old by human standards. He returned to First Contact Station Alpha and opened a restaurant. It served food from dozens of worlds, prepared by chefs of many species. The restaurant became famous. Not for fancy food, but for the atmosphere. Humans and dragons ate together. Ithral and humans shared tables. Species that had once been enemies laughed and told stories. Marcus was back to being a cook, and he loved it. On the 25th anniversary of First Contact, a huge celebration was planned at the station. Dignitaries from hundreds of worlds would attend. Speeches would be made. Honors given. But the night before the celebration, Marcus sat alone in his restaurant after closing. He was tired but content. He had lived a good life. He had made a difference. A voice entered his mind. Marcus Chen, old friend. May I join you? Cerinthia entered through the large doors he had installed specifically for dragon visitors. She moved gracefully despite her immense size. They sat together in comfortable silence, two old friends who had shared incredible adventures. Finally, Marcus spoke. Do you ever think about how it all started? 3 hungry children asking for leftovers? Cerinthia made that sound like distant thunder that was her laughter. Every day, I have lived 3,000 years, Marcus. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have witnessed wonders and horrors. But nothing in all that time was more important than the moment you chose to feed my children. She looked at him with affection. You taught me something I had forgotten after so many years of war and loss. You reminded me that kindness is not weakness. That compassion can be strength. That sometimes the simplest actions have the greatest consequences. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. And you taught me that we are not alone in the universe. That friendship can cross any boundary. That different does not mean enemy.